Well, Sara Hernandez, you gave your senior recital. How
Yes,
was
I did. It was so much fun. I had a wonderful time. That was, I mean, it seems like forever ago now. It was September 26th, and I wish I could do it again. It was over too soon for me, but it was a wonderful memory, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
it was a wonderful program too. I really liked it. Why don't you tell me about the music you sang? What was it about it you liked?
I really liked the progression of the kind of moods and the characters, how they progress throughout, because it opened with Adieu notre petite table from Manon, and that feels very much like it's the beginning of Manon's journey, basically in the opera, and it feels to me like the beginning and the tremolos. I love it so much. So that's where I started, and then we went over to the Strauss pieces, the leader. It was just so lovely, and they're all kind of their own little images. I think their own, it all exist in their own little worlds to me, those three songs. And then we had the Rodrigo, which are also three very individual people. I think the three songs, three of the four Cuatro Madrigales Amatorios that I sang, and all super fun in their own right. And then it finished with the Previn, I Want Magic, and that was the title piece of the recital. And I just love it so much. I love Andre Previn's music, and Streetcar Named Desire is one of my favorite operas, so it just felt very right to close with that. And it was nice to end with the English as well, to have that as the finale. But yeah, that's kind of how it felt to me. That was my thought process of the music. I loved the progression so much.
So I like hearing that, it was your emotional connection and also this, the way things feel that was sort of like your arc across the whole thing, in addition to having an arc for every song or whatever. Um, Tell me about, how did you prepare yourself for this?
Well, I'm so grateful that I've had some of this rep. Well, mostly just the Rodrigo. I started working on sophomore year in our lessons. So I'm really glad that I had, and then the Adieu, the Massenet kind of junior year. So we've been accumulating these songs for a while. So I'm so glad that when senior year arrived, I knew like I want to do these songs and I want to do these. And you had suggestions too of what to put on there. And it was very stress-free, uh, I felt, because by the time I got to my recital, like I didn't have to, there was no worried memorization because most of the songs I've been working on for a while, and the only new one was I Want Magic. So it just kind of, it didn't feel like much work at all. And I'm so grateful to have worked with Rick Rowley playing the piano, and he just made it so easy to perform. And so it, I felt like I had to do very little preparation. The thing I was worried about the most was getting my dress tailored. So
That can be a tricky part.
yeah.
Getting the outfit right. Well, you looked beautiful and you sounded beautiful, and I felt like that you had such a tremendously deep connection to the music. And like you said, I think that when some of this music that we do, it's not something we can pick up in a week and wind up delivering it in a way in which it feels like you gave birth to it yourself, like it's moving out of your own skin. It
Mm-hmm.
does require spending time with it and thinking out every little avenue of it. Also, I feel like I've had such a privilege in from our first semester together, watching you, develop into this wonderful singing artist. What are some things that maybe happened along the way that were defining? That all of a sudden you went, "Wow, this takes it to a new spot," or what sorts of things about that you can think of?
I think that uh, kind of defining moments along the way, my mind goes to, I think, because there are lots of little accomplishments. There are lots of lessons where, oh, like, we did the thing, and that's it, and everything was in the right place. But I think over the process of performing in studio seminar and being able to work through the music, like getting your feedback and my classmates' feedback, and then being a part of the operas, there are just moments for me. I think the actual performances have been the most defining moments where like everything in the world just feels right. And I think like at that point, I don't know, I just have been like more and more motivated moving through voice lessons because like I guess just I don't know, it's literally just the feeling of performing is like the best feeling, and when it's all right, you know, and it all falls into place, it's just so awesome, and it's like you're in a different world and like nothing matters. And so I don't know, that would kind of be the defining, all the performances like the Curandera, that was such a fun opera. And I kind of am straying from the question, but those are the times that are all that make it so fun and so awesome, and that have like motivated me, I guess.
Well, when I hear you talk, I think I hear the voice of an artist, and an artist, and what that means to me is that it's kind of a way of living. That artists are taking in what's happening to them. They're taking in what's happening to the world around them, the people they care about, situations, and how they're developing a viewpoint about that. And what really just jumped out to me was when you said that seminar had value every week, just performing for your friends, watching other people perform, that you are internalizing what people said and you thought about it and you made that a part of your performances, that I need to think about this. And also you've taken opera class and you've had coachings with people have given you ideas. But I think no one, you can be getting the greatest information in the planet, but if it doesn't resonate on some level or find to be a useful tool, it's kind of just hot air. You know what I'm saying? What's awesome to me is that and I've seen you do this across these months and semesters that we've had together. Just assimilating ideas and taking those things in. It's just remarkable. And sometimes, there have been times when I felt like, in my own experience singing, I don't quite know what to do with this, or I need someone to explain this a little bit better or whatever. But I just kept looking, and that's what I so admire about you, is that you just keep looking. This all means something to you in such a rich and different plane of existing. That's what I like. And so it's great that you mentioned that you feel like you're in a different plane of experience. We move beyond every day, don't we?
Yes.
Like when your performance energy hits and all of a sudden, all your whole nervous system is lit up and you jump to light speed, that we do move out of our everyday life. It takes that our everyday life, it's sort of a place where we rest.
Mm-hmm.
So we go back again and again to this place that feels so exalted and above the ordinary. And that's what I love, that you know that and feel that. See, I know I could say what we're hoping to achieve in these interviews is not only for someone to get to say what their experience is, but also for it to be a teaching tool for those people who are going to be giving recitals for the first time. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that I could say is that was important also in what you said was, wow, I felt like I knew this music so well that you weren't busy standing there trying to remember it per se. I mean, of course, you are going to have to remember it and put forth what you've, rehearsed with yourself and ignite the flame of these ideas over and over in performance energy. But we're hoping to help people be able to know sort of some of what to expect when you go to give a recital for the first time. So maybe you could speak to that so that we can help those people who are approaching their performances. Because 30 minutes can seem like no time at all, and to someone else 30 minutes is a whole lifetime. It's like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Looking back on it, I was so happy with our final program, and when all of the recitals had to be 30 minutes, I was like, oh dang, we're not going to get Exultate Jubilate, like that set's got to go. But I'm so happy with how it ended up. Like, again, it felt perfect, but I wish it could have been longer. Like, obviously I would have loved to just keep going. It was just so much fun. And it's like, I get to be the star. But I think for someone, I'm trying to think of the information, what I would like to hear if I were myself, I guess, junior year, getting ready for the recital. And I think, I mean, I feel like you did most of the work for me, like in helping me decide what I wanted to put on it. And just, I don't know, I never felt like there was much of a doubt in my mind about it. But I think what I would tell other people is that, I mean, it's kind of in your face, but singing music that you love so, so much. I mean, sing your favorite pieces, within reason. I mean, if you're singing all like all pieces from one opera, maybe that's not ideal, but as long as you're singing music that you just absolutely love, like, I think everything will work out and everything will fall into place. Because I don't know, I think, and that's something we just talk about in our lessons. I feel like something you've emphasized, if you're singing the right music and you're singing music that is meaningful to you and that you connect with, like we've been saying, I think everything falls into place, vocally, and it'll just, it'll be just right, and it'll be good for your voice, and it'll just feel right. And I don't think it'll be stressful. If you like the music, if you love it, then it'll it'll be fine. I don't know. It's probably not very helpful, but I mean, obviously memorize your music, but that shouldn't be a problem.
No, I think because the one thing I find which is more complicated to explain to people is what kind of headspace do you have going on when you're doing this. I think that you've answered that on one level, in that when you're singing things that you love so much, it feels natural to share it. And also that you've rehearsed it so many times, you sort of know to trust your body, to trust your voice, to trust your emotional state. Like maybe you could say this, like, what was the week like that was leading up to your recital? How, what, I know you were still going to school. It's not like you are, professional yet, where you're the only job you have is singing. You actually have a whole life that you're living and going to school in addition to pulling this thing together.
Mhm. I think the week leading up to the recital was very typical because, I mean, school is keeping me busy and everything. So I didn't have a lot of free time to think about everything. I practiced, I would run through my program the last like 4 days before I would just sing through it. And it took me, 25 minutes because it wasn't that much music. But besides that, I just kind of tried to enjoy. It was so fleeting. It all happened so fast. I just feel like it flashed before my eyes. So I was just trying to be in the moment as much as I could, because like the day arrived and I didn't have anything else going on. So I was just hanging around the house and I had nervous butterflies and everything. But by the time I went to the PAC, it started and then it was done. And it was really good to hear like feedback from everyone, because it prolonged the experience, and it made it feel more real. Because while I was there, since it was just me and Rick Rowley in the recital hall, it was just kind of very much in my own world. I mean, like mentally, spiritually, and also literally. It was just, but it was still very meaningful. I still really, really enjoyed the performance, even because I knew people were watching. So
Yes. Oh, I loved what you said, that when people reflect back to you, the experience, it made it more real. I really love that. It does, doesn't it? It's like, why we take pictures of ourselves, or why we take pictures of a moment, so it becomes, extending it, making it longer. I really love that. And I want to say this too, is that in order to give each student something special about their recital, they had different camera angles, so that yes, a person could be seen from different vantage points. And also, one thing I loved about it was, um, I thought that I could see you better than being in the room, because my eyesight is not as good as those cameras. And so I could see your life pouring out. It was so wonderful. And I'm thinking, oh my God, she's pouring her life out, and there's no one in there but her and Rick. And I thought it was a magic to me. I loved seeing that, and I loved you know, just seeing your life just pouring out of your body. It was great. And your beautiful voice and all that work you put in on it was just remarkable and so enjoyable. And, you know, and of course, we could be whooping it up in the room in a way, whooping it up in the concert hall. But every time you sang something beautiful, people would just go, oh my God, things you couldn't do in the theater, which I thought that was wonderful. They were getting to, you know, experience it verbally, you know, and making nonverbal gestures. It was like, you know, yeah, you know. I had to throw my arms around a lot because there were so many wonderful things.
I'm glad.
And on a crazy personal note, was you were singing music that I've sung myself, and I've also performed those songs with Rick. And I thought, oh my God, it's just a total uh, piece of my own experience being able to share that with you because Rick Rowley is wonderful. And he did
Really, really, yeah.
totally a master. And I'm glad to know that you felt like your experience was totally easy. And he really does. He completely understands the landscape of every song. And it was clear what you all communicated was perfectly clear and perfectly wonderful. What were your rehearsals like with your pianist? Because you mostly prepared this with tracks. And
Yes.
yes, how many rehearsals did you get and how did that happen?
So I rehearsed, I met with Rick Rowley once. We met Thursday of the week of the performance, and we ran through everything once, and we did two of the songs we ran twice just because of the recit. We wanted to get the timing a little more clear. But I mean, I felt, I mean, I was in a good position where, again, I had internalized all of the music, so singing it myself, you know, there's no like, I was very confident singing it. And then he was just so remarkable about picking up everything. I mean, he knew like exactly, it's like he knew exactly how I was going to do it as it was going on. He's like, oh yeah, this is how she's going to take that. And it's just in the moment, it was, I didn't even have to think. I didn't have to think about being in time. It was just kind of, we were just doing it together, performing together. So that rehearsal felt great. And he said, I don't think we need to meet again. And I was like, no, I think we're good. So then we showed up on Saturday and we just did it.
I know you're talking about rarefied air there. That's when you have this level of preparation. I've said that you just said a mountain right there. That is the culmination of preparation should be that when we arrive, it is just releasing that preparation to become alive. And totally was just that. I can reflect that definitely back to you. I thought this is constantly connection and really beautiful. What sorts of things did you eat the day that you performed?
I think in the morning, I had some coffee. I had some kind of coffee drink or something. And then I didn't want to eat too much. I wanted to feel as skinny as I could in my dress. So I remember that I went to HEB and there's this restaurant called Flaming Bird and they have like baked potatoes. So I had a baked potato from there. And that was all that I really ate that day, but that was nice and filling. I felt not too full. And that was about like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the performance was like later, but I was getting like jittery before the performance. So I can't eat at that point. I'm just kind of like running on adrenaline. So yeah. And then I had a pizza after and it was delicious.
Reward time.
That's right.
Well, that's a good thing to know about, you know, I used to never eat after 3:30 when I was, you know, singing or doing performances. And then afterwards you could have a little something, you know. So that's a good thing to know that you can't load up and sing on a full stomach. I don't know. Some people used to tell me they could, and I'm thinking, how do you do that? Because I got nervous every time I stood up and sang. I get nervous in my own house if I have to think about it. So it's like, you know, how can you cram yourself full of food when you're a nervous wreck? Tell me about some performances that you have seen in your life that were, or maybe even performances that you were in that were lasting, that they gave you something that fed into your this creative machine that is you know.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of like specific things. There have been a lot of performances that I just loved. I owe all my knowledge of music and being here and everything just to my mom, because she introduced me to music, because she's a musician and a singer. So she took me to see like operas and musicals and things. And so, I mean, I remember very vividly that the first big performance that I remember going to was Carmina Burana at the Majestic Theater in San Antonio. And I was very young. I was not prepared for how loud it was going to be. I just really was unaware, but I just appreciated how like grandiose, and just, I was sitting in the very last row of the like nosebleed section, but it was still so loud, and I could just like feel it in myself, the drums and everything. And that was really awesome. And I have that's like one of my fondest memories, musical performance. And I mean, all of them have been great. I mean, everything I've seen. And at Texas State, being a part, I mean, just to kind of go back to that, being in the operas, Cendrillon, which we never got to perform, but we made it all the way to like dress rehearsal. We almost made it to the Sitzprobe. That experience was so wonderful. And I don't know, yeah, the things that I have been a part of have stuck with me the most. It's just a really, really awesome feeling to, I don't know, to work on something so hard and to have the opportunity to perform it. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's a great answer. I love that. So you do have some moments that were like, "Wow, this is big and booming," and it didn't leave you, and it sort of sometimes opens a door. And I think it's marvelous that you have had a parent who has been interested in music, who is also, because I know her that she also is a singer, and gave these experiences to you. I think that's pretty epic. What could you say to someone who is, a talented person? Maybe they're a sophomore now. What are some things you want to be thinking about as you move toward your junior recital or your senior recital? What are some things? How can you preempt that?
Hmm. That's interesting, because for me, obviously, like being music education major, like the senior recital is like the one thing, like that's my one big performance. But for anyone else, it's preparing for like junior, senior recitals. Hmm. I think it's important to, well, I mean, having something to work towards, having a very specific goal to work towards has always been the most motivating thing to me, whether it's working on the opera or working for a recital, a studio recital, or studio seminar on Wednesday. That has been like, I just am always like, I'm always looking forward to my next opportunity to perform. So practicing for those things is exciting to me. I'm like, I get to perform on Wednesday. I get to perform on Saturday at the recital. So thinking about like the performances that you're excited for, I guess, I don't know. That's what has motivated me to practice, because I think just singing in front of people is really, really fun, and I have enjoyed that so much. Um, but yeah, thinking about like the performances that are important to you or are important for you. You only get to have one junior recital and one senior recital. So I don't know, just, yeah, find some music, hold on to the music that you really love, and yeah, enjoy it and look forward to it. It's not a scary thing. It's totally like, I think that if it shouldn't be a scary experience at all. Obviously, some people are not as fond of performing, solo, and that's totally fine. But it's just a moment for you to enjoy everything that you've worked for. Yeah, it should be super, super fun. It's just a time to enjoy beauty and to like live in beauty just for a little bit.
Oh, I love that. Well, I know that you are planning to move into teaching. Why don't you tell me about that? What inspired you to choose this?
Well, I've that's a really good question. I have literally no idea what's going on with my life right now, but I've known for a while. I mean, at some point in high school, I was pretty sure I wanted to pursue music in some respect. I mean, it's just, I can't really imagine being a part of a career or just living day to day without having music just there. And, that's very important for me and necessary, I think. and I value public education very much. I always have. I valued my education that I received, and I think that I'll enjoy. I always thought I would enjoy being a choir director. I still think that. I I have no idea where I'm going to end up. I don't know. You know, obviously it's not that time yet, but I think it'll be a really good opportunity for me, whether I'm teaching middle school or high school or even elementary, wherever I end up. I just want to bring beautiful music into children's lives, you know, and I want them to, everyone might not have the same experience that I did. I was very inclined to like classical music and opera from a pretty young age, but I want them to be able to appreciate it. And I hope that I can, you know, help people feel the way that I did about it, because it's just like really, really magical and awesome. And I just think music of all sorts just, you know, makes life so much better. So I hope that I can just, that's the goal, you know, bring more beauty into the world, you know, build community around music. And so that's the goal. And hopefully maybe a little performing on the side, who knows, whatever I can manage with my schedule.
Exactly. No, I'm thrilled because I just think any child who encounters you is going to be a lucky child.
I appreciate that.
Because I think in the way in which you've had great values passed on to you and your experiences are so rich and deep, it makes you an ideal person to inspire others through this experience of music. So, lucky children in the planet. Sara Hernandez is on her way.
Yep.
Well, is there anything else you want to say before we hang up?
Well, I mean, not in terms of my experience. I feel like I shared all the things that I enjoyed, and I loved it, and I'm so grateful for it. And I just definitely want to say, like, I mean, thank you to you. I've told you thank you a million times, but I'm just so grateful to have had the experience of working with you, because that's, I mean, all of the whatever I've accomplished, whatever I have been able to achieve with my voice, my performing, like our lessons have just been like the high point of every single semester of college, and just a safe space, and a space where like, I just always felt like accomplished afterward. And it was so great. And then all the pianists, I mean, I worked with Hyunjin most of my years at Texas State, and I was able to perform with Dr. Thompson a couple times, and then Rick Rowley. Like, I've been so fortunate to have been able to work with the high caliber of people that I have. But yeah, I'm just so grateful for everything, and it's been the realest for 3.5 years of my life. So I hope it won't stop here.
Well, I'm just so grateful you made Texas State your place to start your dynamic journey in performance. And I have you just did an incredible time working with you. It's just been such a good time. You inspire me in every way I can think of. And I am pleased to know you. And thank you, Sara Hernandez, for all these fantastic tips and for sharing your special inside life with everybody. And thank you a lot.
Thank you. Right.